Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I want to introduce you to a really interesting young lady. Teresa Winters is her name. She is currently a contestant in an interesting breast cancer awareness competition called Fabover40, which is going to be kind of fun, and we're going to chat a bit about that. But she's also got an interesting sort of life story that I want to talk about. She's 45, she's single, and she says that she's living life she never thought possible before. She's a mom of two. She's a world traveler, and she's a business owner, really an interesting area where she takes people on trips worldwide. And she's got a great website called Faraway Places Travel, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And she takes families and singles on trips. And so that's interesting. And she's got this whole thing about traveling as a single parent with children that we'll talk a little bit about. You don't want to miss this interview, because I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation about divorce, solo parenting, where dating and travel collide, and about being fabulous over 40. Teresa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much.
So right off the top, why did you get involved in this competition, Fabover40?
You know, that's kind of my year of yes. And it's a very, very much for me. I like to say, well, what's next? I've been doing a lot of things that I never thought possible. I went skydiving in Dubai this year.
Skydiving?
Yep, my daughter and I are going to be swimming with sharks at the end of the year in Hawaii. So when this competition, just scrolling through Instagram, I found it and I thought, why not? Why not enter this competition to win $40,000? That's what locked me in. But now that I've been in the competition for a few weeks, I've advanced each round and I'm still first in my group, which is pretty remarkable. I'm learning more and more about why I was really drawn to do this without even knowing it. So it is for the National Breast Cancer Foundation, and all the donations go towards that. And as I've been promoting this, people are reaching out to me and saying, I'm so proud of you for doing this. I have lost my wife because of this. I'm a 5-year cancer survivor. So now that I'm seeing people that I know personally and their stories, it's become much bigger than a $40,000 prize for me. It is Fabover40. I love having any opportunity to kind of have a stage or a microphone, if you will. And this is just one of those platforms for me. I'm always trying to encourage and inspire women, especially. And so I'm just really taking advantage of this competition for multiple reasons. And it's not about the prize, the cash anymore, but it's really just creating a buzz and an energy for many women just to get out there and be courageous and help, raise awareness for National Breast Cancer Foundation and the education, early detection, and all of those things that are because of this competition. Last year, they raised over $1.7 million just with this competition alone.
Fantastic. And so what do you do with this competition? You post pictures of yourself, you get people to vote for you. What else?
Yeah, so they gave us 3 questions to answer, and we got to put pictures on there. So it's a very, very simple competition, and it's really just promoting myself. It truly is. And I have a beautiful, beautiful group of friends that are supporting me and cheering me on, and they share my posts and get people to donate for me. And again, those dollars go right to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. So it's just going to my page, continuing those votes. After this Thursday, only one woman from each group will advance to the quarterfinals. So I'm still in first. I'm very hopeful. I'm very confident that I'll make it to the quarterfinals, and then to the semifinals, and then to the finals in December.
You seem to have a really interesting attitude, and you shared this picture with me that says, create the world you want and fill it with the opportunities that matter to you. Why is that? Why does that speak to you?
That's what I've discovered within myself after going through a divorce. It's been 6 years now. And I've really learned that it is up to us. I think back to when we're in our 20s and our 30s, we're very intentional and we're very methodical with the life that we want to create, whether it's going to college, being a housewife, being a mother. But we lose that drive as we get older. And I'm really just trying to grab hold of that. And I'm creating the life that I find inspiring, invigorating for myself, for my children, opening up doors, creating opportunity, and just really creating a path for us that is unique to us, but makes us happy, regardless of what other people are doing in their life.
So many people see divorce as an ending. It's almost for you that it was a beginning or a new beginning.
they see divorce as a negative. They see the word single as a negative. They really don't know where to put us. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and her and her friends talk about being a third wheel now. And I said, well, get used to it. A lot of times adults were at the third wheel too. And that's been my life for the past 6 years. I've been single for 6 years, and single for me is not a negative. It's very much something that allows me to dig deeper to who I am, be curious, be curious in who I am, and inspire my children and other women to do the same.
We're going to take a break for some messages and come back in just 2 minutes with Theresa Winters and talk a little bit about some of her businesses and some of her life experiences as she's gone through this interesting sort of phoenix movement of rising from the ashes of a divorce. But it sounds like it's turned out pretty good for you, and you're pretty happy. And that's fantastic. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. My guest tonight is Theresa Winters. She's 45. She's single. She's living what she describes as a life she never thought possible. She's a mother of two. She's a world traveler. She's a business owner. She's a competitor in something called Fabover40, which is raising awareness for breast cancer. And she's living this life that she calls a life of what's next. And that's kind of an interesting attitude toward having. Teresa, fill us in, if you could, in what your life has been like in the last 6 years since your divorce. How did it come about? And did you go through, a couple of years of grief, or did you bounce back right away? And how did you get to this very positive attitude that you're in right now?
I kind of hit the ground running. I took a solo trip for the first time in my life. And, some back then were saying I was running from something, and maybe that was the case. I don't know. I think I was definitely trying to avoid being home alone when I didn't have my children. So when I was traveling, you forget what you're missing when you're back home by yourself. So whether travel was an escape at that time or just rejuvenating the life that I thought, I was missing, travel really saved me. And by being curious about being single and a new life and really just taking hold of that, I found a passion. So travel for me is very much a part of my life. I bought a travel agency shortly after that because I thought, well, I'm going to go broke if I don't make money doing this. So as you mentioned before, I book travel for people, family travel, solo travel, destination weddings, honeymoons, you name it, I book it. I now have a couple employees underneath me as well. So the company has grown in 6 years. So it's just been a really beautiful, unique experience for me. And it is always constantly what's next. I've kind of discovered this adrenaline junkie within me. Like I said, I did skydiving this year. I drove a Ferrari out in Vegas. I climbed Kilimanjaro a couple of years ago on a spontaneous swim. So those are things that really, really excite me. And just the thought of inspiring other people to do those things really brings me joy.
Was it scary going away by yourself for the first time?
It really wasn't. I look back at that and I often question myself why I did the things I did, because I went to Hawaii and I had a hotel book for the night that I arrived and a hotel book for the day before I departed, and nothing in between. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't own a travel agency. I was just starting to travel, and I did 2 islands by myself. I love the unknown, and that's kind of like the life unscripted thing that I'm just vibing with right now. I don't worry about not knowing what next year is going to look like for me. I believe in myself. I know I'm a hustler. I've got 2 children. I know they're watching me, and I know other people are watching me. So the unknown, the uncertainty, that stuff doesn't scare me. I adore change. I promote change for people. It keeps us uncomfortable. It creates a vulnerability in us. And I think so many people use that word without really truly knowing what that means. Being vulnerable means you're willing to do something without knowing that you don't know the end results. So a divorce, buying a company, all of those things are being vulnerable. And that just creates a confidence in me that I think is untouchable.
You say a life unscripted. What do you mean by a life unscripted?
That I don't want to do what other people think that we should be doing. My mom, I know she's kind of worried about me that I don't see myself getting remarried. I don't care that I'm single and I don't see myself living with somebody. I could get remarried. I don't know, but I don't see myself going down a path. I see myself being very unconventional, so to speak. So unscripted, unconventional, not following the book as it was written for me when I was born.
Is that a reaction or overreaction to your marriage? And maybe did you have a controlling husband or something like this?
No, not at all. I've always said that my ex-husband is a phenomenal guy. He still is. We have a great relationship. It had nothing to do with him. You know, now looking back, it was a lot to do with me and just not being happy. And that's just another story. But I don't know where it comes from. I often ask that as well. You know, I have two amazing parents who are extremely hard workers and always have a smile on their face. So I know I get part of that attitude from them. But they were never adventurous. You know, they worked and worked and worked. And we didn't get to do much outside of our small little community. So that's still a question I don't know that I have the answer to, where this like drive for life and energy comes from.
So why were you unhappy?
I just felt like I wanted more out of life. I wasn't content with just being a stay-at-home mother. And that's also something that I think women are really nervous to say, that they want more out of life. I wanted more out of life. I kept telling myself that I was okay being home, staying with the children. I've signed up for this, but I knew deep down that there was more in this life that I wanted to do. There's still a lot more that I want to do.
Is that something you wanted or he wanted, or did you feel pressured into it by society, your family, or what?
No, it just happened over time. You know, it was just one of those things. We got married and hit the ground running, starting businesses, having children, buying houses. And, you know, life just got away from us in that regard. We did everything that we set out to do. The love just faded, and it was parts that needed to be there in our marriage that just wasn't there. So a great guy, he's remarried. I love that my children get to see two different households operate completely different. It's a different experience for them. They get to see their father happily married, and they get to see their mother happily single. Completely different experiences, but it shows my children that, you know, whatever your life is when you get to this stage, you know, as long as you're happy, we're all happy for you.
Is she stay at home or does she work?
She works. Yeah.
So it wasn't that he wanted you to stay home. It's just that it
No, not at all. Like I said, he was always very whatever, you know, he was a great guy. It had nothing to do with him holding me back, telling me to do this, telling me not to do that. It had nothing to do with any of that.
But, you know, someone that climbs Mount Kilimanjaro or jumps out of a plane or does some of the things that you've done sort of suggests that you were somehow stultified. You were like something.
No, like I said, I just knew there was more within me that I wanted to do. And I didn't know what that was at that time. I had no idea. I just knew I was unhappy. I think a lot of us, when we're unhappy in a marriage, we naturally blame the other person. And I absolutely did that. And it had nothing to do with, you know, the other person whatsoever.
It's just you wanted to climb.
I was not happy.
Did you travel during your marriage? Did you?
Oh, yeah, we did a little bit.
You didn't climb Mount Kilimanjaro though.
No, that's a dating story that I'll share with you in a bit.
Okay, tell me the dating story.
So, you know, I wanted to talk about, you know, like how dating and travels collided for me in my life. And I hope to write a book about this one day. That's my 2023-24 goal. Is by being single, I've really, again, I talk about creating this life and filling it with opportunities and taking advantage of the life that you're at. So when I first started traveling, I would sign up for Tinder Passport ahead of time before I would go. And so basically what that means is I would set my location, let's say Hawaii. I would say that I was in Hawaii, so I would get to connect with men and women and build that relationship via phone calls, text, FaceTime. And so I had people in each of these destinations before I went. So again, creating that opportunity of friendship, whether it's just someone to have dinner with, someone to go hiking with, I set that in motion. So the Kilimanjaro was, I was out on a date and it was going well. And he made it very, very clear that he either does adventure with his women or he dates his women. So I said to him, well, I guess we're not dating because I'm going to go climb Kilimanjaro. And so whether he wanted me there or not, I booked the trip a month and a half later and went and climbed Kilimanjaro.
Did he come with you?
Oh yeah, he was there for sure. We
How
were
did it
not
go?
dating. Huh?
Was it a good date?
Oh, we were not dating. Remember, he made that very clear. He doesn't date those that go adventuring. So I made some lifelong friends on that trip, though.
So this is interesting. So for him, there are girls you date and there are girls that you do adventure with, but you don't
He
mix
made
it.
that very clear. I think he was not happy with his decision that he said that, but he put that line out there. And so he
But
had
that
to live
doesn't make
with
any
it.
sense. Wouldn't you want to have fun with the person that you're doing adventure with?
Yeah. Well, that's just kind of the people we were run into.
Okay, so tell me another dating and travel story.
Let's see. So I went to, oh, this is a good one. I went to Aruba one year and it was a solo trip as well. And so I like to sit at the corner of a bar to create the space here for someone else to join and conversation to start. So I had ordered room service to go to my room. I was just very tired of the sun. I wanted to go out, go up and veg out. So I was having a glass of champagne, waiting for my food to be made. And someone sat beside me and I struck up a conversation with him. So long story short, I sat there the whole night eating my food with him and his business partner. They, at the end of the night, invited me to join them the next night for a business meeting at a steakhouse. And I, of course, agreed. So it was a very beautiful night, a round table, like beef tartare, red wine. And it turns out it was a group of people that I didn't know that I was hanging out with. We'll just say they were all from Colombia and Miami and all spoke Spanish. And I was in over my head. So that will be in the book, the rest of that story.
And so your Spanish isn't good enough to carry the conversation?
No, not all of it. Enough to be like, okay, I think this is going
But
to
you
be.
got invited to a business event. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, it was really great. It was really great. And I did stay in touch with this gentleman for many years and had other travel experiences with him as well.
Now, a lot of people would feel very nervous about going on a solo trip, and then particularly going on a solo trip, sitting in a bar and allowing people to approach them. What are your secrets? Like, one secret is obviously sitting at the corner of a bar. That sounds like an interesting one. Think about that. Any other sort of words of wisdom?
I think again, it's creating that opportunity and taking advantage. I was a solo traveler, regardless if I'm a female or male. I'm not going on these trips just to bury my nose in a book or in my phone. Now, I do love to read while I travel, but I also love to meet locals. And so I can honestly say that every single place that I've been across this globe, I have contacts there. So it's we all know our spidey senses. We all know when somebody's, good or, potentially a little leery, and you just be smart about your choices and whether you walk to your room by yourself or you wait for them to leave first. I'm very, very careful with that stuff, especially being a mother. I tell my kids there's more good in the world than bad. And so I just have to judge and trust my intuition and my senses. And I'm very smart with those things that I do.
You're in Michigan.
Yes.
What's it like dating, just not traveling as a divorcee in your 40s?
It's hit or miss. I haven't been on apps in quite some time because I find they're quite tiresome. But again, I have used the apps for business. I have used the app for friendship. It's just being very, very straightforward with, I realize this is a dating app, but I'm here to meet people. When I'm not on an app, I don't meet people because I work from home. So I'm here to meet friends. This is what I do for a living. And so it's just being very straightforward with your intentions on those apps. And some people get annoyed because I'm there not to date, but just to meet new people when in fact it's a dating app. But I find that I meet more interesting people that I'm interested in when I'm not on an app. And again, it's the old saying is like, you find it when you're least expecting. And I've found that that's to be true for the most part.
And where does one meet people? Are you going to corners of bars in Michigan as well?
Actually, the last two gentlemen that I dated, I met while traveling in another country. Yeah.
And so you have long distance relationships, or they're from Michigan?
Well, they're from the US, but not Michigan. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not dating them together, but those are the last two scenarios from other states, but I met them on different trips actually that I booked, group trips.
And so just being open to meeting people while you're traveling, and you may meet someone that's particularly unique and nice.
Yeah. For me, it's, again, I'm not rushing to have someone live in my home. I really love my quiet. So the fact that somebody might live hours away or states away, as long as we're both committed to, when we have free time, seeing each other and the open communication is there, then that brings joy to me. And as long as that's, we enjoy each other's company, then I don't see, the rush in anything. I think that really helped me realize a lot about myself when I stopped thinking about such an end game, such an end result when I was dating. It took so much pressure off. And I think men and women need to realize, like, stop putting so much pressure on the end game and just enjoy the moment with people. There's a lot of opportunity that can be had in that.
A lot of people in your situation want to get married again, and sort of like the end goal or the objective is to find that next relationship, and the I keep on seeing this line about the last first date or something like that.
Right.
But that's not you. How did you come to that conclusion that that's not you?
I think it's a lot of things. Each year that I've been single, I know a lot more about myself. And I also get to see, and I say this hesitantly, I guess, but I see a lot of other married couples, and it reminds me why I don't want to be married, quite honestly. And I enjoy being single.
So you think there's a lot of unhappy married couples?
Yeah. And I just see people and we were guilty of it. We talk so poorly to those that we love. They're the person that takes a rough day. At the end of our rough day, we take it out on them. And I think it's such an unfortunate thing. And I just don't want to be placed in that situation again, where people just get so comfortable that we take things for granted.
Sounds like you got a really good philosophy of life, and you're happy with who you are, and happier with who you are today than you were 7 years ago.
Very much so.
What would your ex-husband say about what you're doing right now?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I think he would say, "Who are you?"
Really, you're that different that he would say, "Who are you?"
I think I'm less structured. I don't let a lot of things bother me. Yeah, I'm just really just trying to enjoy every single thing that comes my way. And again, I say take advantage of that a lot, but I really do. Like, I want to take advantage of everything that's crossing my path, be curious about it, not be judgy about things, and see how it's going to benefit me and my children.
What does your mom say?
Oh, my mom, as long as I'm happy, she's happy. She'll shake her head and roll her eyes a lot, I'm sure. But I told them in the early game, they don't have to understand me, but I just request that they support me.
Now, I've got a couple of different websites that you've got that I want to talk about in our next segment, but let's just, so you got something that's keeping up with Teresa, that's just all about you. And then you got something that's far away places travel, which is about your business. And that's primarily group travel. Is that the case?
No, it's all over the place. I do just couples, honeymoons, destination weddings. I just recently got into group travel, which I absolutely love. I do solo parent trips now as well. That's kind of my new passion.
You got, so this is another Instagram site. You got single mother adventures.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. The kids and we're going to see all 50 states in the next few years. We get out of the country as much as we can, but again, we are very, very curious together. They're great travelers. It brings me tremendous pride to know that I am opening the world to them and creating a deeper appreciation and curiosity to what, just outside of our little area here.
What a great attitude you've got. Fantastic. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back in 2 minutes with Teresa Winters again. And we're going to talk a little bit about travel and places we should go and things we should be doing and places she's gone and recommendations she has. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. It's kind of fun tonight to talk with Teresa Winters. She is 45. She's single. She's living a life that she never thought possible before, running a couple different businesses. She's a mom of two. She's a world traveler. She's a business owner. She runs a couple of different businesses about travel, travel, faraway places, farawayplacestravel.com, single mother adventures, and keeping up with Teresa is just her regular site for us to voyeuristically watch her travel and climbing and skydiving and things like that. But Teresa, Maybe just tell us a little bit about your passion that you say, which is single parent or single mother travel. And you're really encouraging divorced parents to get out there with their kids and not be embarrassed to go and explore the world.
Yeah, I heard so much at the beginning when I started doing this with my children. I wish I could do this. I'm not brave enough. I don't know where to start. And so as my kids and I booked trips, I thought, well, we're going to go anyways. Why not open this up to a group trip? So what that looks like, solo parents will reach out to me and, I'll say, last year we did Mexico. This year we're going to do this coming year, we're going to do Costa Rica. And so I just kind of hold their hand and reassure them that I've got you. We're going to do this together. I'm going to set up all your excursions for you. It's going to build your confidence. You're going to see what your children are into and not into. And, just again, build that self-esteem for these parents. If they're not able to do that with us, I still encourage them to start small, do a road trip, go to the other side of the state, book an Airbnb, whatever it might be, hop on Amtrak, just do something small to get that curiosity going and building those dreams with your kids. You're going to see really what they're into and what they're not into. My kids and I have changed over and over and over on what works for us, what doesn't work for us. We've done Amtrak, Greyhound, road trips, cruises, planes, you name it, we've done it. And we're really, really mastering what works for the three of us.
What are some of the places that you've enjoyed the most with them?
With them? Our road trips are actually really, really great. We did a road trip a few years ago. It was 7 states. And then we also came back through Canada. So we had 2 countries, 7 states. It was like New York City, Baltimore. We did Niagara Falls. That was really, really great. We vibed well. It could be a little intense and stressful as a single mother, and also with the 2 children, one's a boy, one's a girl. They're different ages. They're into different things, but we're heading to Hawaii for Christmas and we're really, really pumped to do that together. As I mentioned, my daughter and I are going to swim with the sharks. My son thinks we're batshit crazy, which I can't blame him. We kind of are. But I am so proud of my daughter that she's like, yeah, sure. She's kind of like me. Sure. I guess I'll do that with you, Mom. So I think that will be one of our top trips for sure.
And you organize these trips for other people as well, or just encourage them to do it?
Both. I'm not the perfect travel agent for each client. And if it's not an ideal trip for me to work on, I'm glad to say, let me just hold your hand and coach you and help you book what you need to book. For example, I don't work with Airbnb or VRBO for multiple reasons, but if that's something that's beneficial for a family, I'm so glad to, coach them and tell them the do's and the don'ts and the ins and the outs of these homeowners and how policies work.
Why don't you believe in those?
Say that again?
Why don't you do Airbnb and stuff like that?
Oh, it's an insurance thing. The insurance that, travel agents use, a lot of them don't cover that if there were issues to arise. And then also some of these homes, they just don't work with travel agents, and I don't work for free.
Okay. And then Faraway Places Travel. Tell us about that.
So Faraway Places Travel is the company that I purchased when I started solo traveling. It's a company that's been in business for nearly 40 years now. And so when I purchased it, Judy was the previous owner and she retired. And when she retired, all of her clients pretty much were retiring with her. So I really built it from the ground up. I'm a 5-star travel agency. I have 3 different locations. I service clients across the country. Again, I do couples trips. I do group trips. I love destination weddings. And yeah, we are a force to be reckoned with 2 new ladies on my team. And I'm just really, really pumped to see where the next couple of years go for us. So Faraway Places Travel. You can find us all over the internet.
Now, most people book their own travel. Why would you benefit from using someone like yourself?
Personal experience. People love that for the most part. I know the heartbeat and the pulse of the world. I know what it was like when COVID kind of lifted and what you needed to do and what you didn't need to do. People can book their own travel, but honestly, people are so busy that money isn't their biggest worry anymore. It's time. They don't have time to spend 4 hours on the internet looking at sites and at the end of the night still not booking anything. A lot of people will come to me and say, I'm done. I'm spent. I can't do it anymore. Just take it over for me. And I show them, a handful of quotes, and they love what I have to present for them. I love when I can say, hey, go talk to this bartender at this bar. Hey, make sure to go to this restaurant on the side of the street and take your food to go on the beach. I give them all kind of personal tips that the internet will not do that.
I'm looking at your website and some of your trips just look unbelievable. Tell me a little bit about some of the places you've gone.
So that was Nashville. That was one of our road trips. We did that this summer. We did West Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And so we've learned that being outside, removing the walls, the kids can't bounce off the walls if you remove the walls. So Mexico, Punta Cana, that's Philly. Yeah, I mean, it's just really, there's Aruba that was over Christmas last year. Room service. Mom likes her champagne, so the kids get cookies and milk.
You seem to do with them as well a lot of very adventurous things like zip lining and stuff like that. So you've shared that adventurous spirit with them, I take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, not everything is going to speak to both children. If you have multiple children, we've learned right away that my daughter has a terrible fear of heights, where my son, he does not. So we have to really make things work for the whole family. But as they get a little bit older, it is easier to say, okay, well, you just sit here while we go on this roller coaster because you don't like it. When they were younger, it was not an option. I had to throw both of them on a roller coaster.
Now, most of your travel is in the United States and the Caribbean?
Well, so we typically would leave the country at least once a year, but now we want to see all 50 states. So we are really focusing on staying within the US, and we're really, really loving it. Absolutely.
I think you should come visit Ontario.
We're working on it.
What an incredible experience you're giving your kids.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love watching these pictures go by.
And so your advice for divorced parents is get out there.
It's cliche, but it is a new lease on life. Start fresh. This is, again, you're starting from the beginning. So what does life look like for you? What do you want life to look like? Because you get to design it now. And so that's what I'm doing for myself. Yes, my children are very much a part of my life, but I am 50-50 with my ex. So when I don't have my kids, I don't have my kids for a week. And I am not just going to sit in my house with my computer. I'm going to take my computer and book travel while I'm traveling and experiencing those things. And I know not everybody gets to be able to do that, but we all have time. And so don't just sit and wait while life passes you by. And that will be your biggest regret. That was Denmark. This is Mexico with the kids.
So it seems like you do a fair amount of traveling on your own as well as with the kids.
I do a ton of traveling. This year and last year, I did a lot of that. Was in Dubai. I was in Seychelles this year. Yeah.
Tell me about Seychelles. It sounds like it's spectacular.
It's very luxurious. There it is. It's a long way away. It's a 24-hour travel day.
Where do you fly to?
Layover in Dubai and then to Seychelles. That's Michigan right there.
And where is Seychelles?
It is on the east coast of Africa, teeny tiny little islands.
And known for what?
Beautiful beaches, luxurious butler type service, honeymoon. It's very warm.
And tell me about skydiving.
I had a friend that went skydiving in Dubai, and I remember looking at her photos and I said, if I ever get to Dubai, I'm going skydiving. So the minute that trip was booked for travel agents, I booked skydiving. And it was phenomenal. I would do it again in a second.
So if people want to follow you, what's the best? Go to Instagram and start following you?
Yeah. So Faraway Places, there's Faraway Places Travel on Instagram, on Facebook. That's my website. That's in Africa there, the last one. Keeping Up with Teresa is my personal page. And then Single Mother Adventures, the one you had previously, that is just me and my children. So yeah, I am social media heavy and internet heavy. If you look up Teresa Winters, Faraway Places Travel, you're going to find me. Fabover40, my link is, let me see, it's long. You have to get a pen. It's votefab40.com /2022 /Teresa-Winters. And I'm sure you'll put that in the comments for me.
No question. So You talked about taking advantage of your situation. Tell me, what does that mean to you? And what are some of the ways that you've been able to do that?
It's just really looking outward at your life and dissecting and seeing what's out there. There is money to be made, there's opportunity to be had, and most people do not get curious enough or intentional enough with taking a next step and making their life better. And so that's, for me, like, I just know I'm in such a good spot, and I just constantly think, okay, I'm here. How can I stay here or be more or be better? I don't want to go backwards. And so it's always reinventing myself the next year, the following year, and just making sure, I'm responsible for myself. I'm responsible for my children. So whenever those opportunities arise, I take advantage of that. And so I could, this contest is the same thing. Sure, I'll admit that at first it was about the $40,000. And now it's me having this platform to encourage, to inspire, to have women do early mammograms, do their education, inspire people to donate for these causes. And so, yeah, it's taking advantage of those things and this what next attitude in life. Taking pictures, women, we need to do that. Take care of yourself. It's great for your confidence. I just have such a beautiful, remarkable group of friends. It's my daughter.
You just seem to have gone through a rebirth. Is that at all fair to say?
I say it all the time. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And again, it's a life I never saw happening. I'm not saying I'm not deserving. I'm 100% deserving of this. I just didn't think it could be this good. It's pretty remarkable. I'm very, very blessed. I mean, I've worked very, very hard, and I know that there's beauty in that. But exactly where I should be, where I want to be, and I can't wait to see where the next few years, there's my lovely parents, the next few years go for me.
So let me ask you, is divorce the best thing that happened to you?
I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I never have. There's definitely a thing of loneliness. I've felt that for sure, but I don't regret going through divorce. I pray my kids never go through another divorce. I've said that to my ex. I hope they stay happily married. I don't want to see him go through another divorce. As cordial as ours was, it's still an awful thing to go through. And so, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I don't regret being divorced.
You're an inspiration.
Yeah,
you really are. I love your travel. I love how you've created a business out of your passion. I love how you've extended it to groups and destination weddings and single moms and single parents. And I love how you've tried to inspire people through this contest to get early mammograms. And so it really seems like you've gone through this Phoenix kind of rebirth movement and seen it as not an end, but a new beginning. And so I think that's encouraging for a lot of people, because a lot of people have a very different attitude toward divorce. And so I think that that's wonderful. And I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Well, thanks for having me on.
And we're going to have you back for more dating and travel stories, because that sounds like there's some more good stories there somewhere.
For sure.
We're going to take a break and come back with some concluding comments from me in just a minute. Stay with us, everybody.